I think what people are most interested in knowing is whether the material of my fiction is autobiographical or factual. I think that's a legitimate curiosity, although I know a lot of writers feel their hackles raise on being asked that. I think it's legitimate because I think if you've succeeded in convincing somebody of a world and cast of characters and dilemma, that what they want to know is this something authentic, and they are confused about authenticity of feeling and want to be assured somehow that it's real. And a lot of people aren't accustomed to investing themselves in fictional worlds, and so they want to be assured that what they've invested themselves in means something. And my response in general to that question is that in the way that dreams are real to the dreamer, the fiction is real to me. And in just as many ways as it's not exactly real, it is not real. Dreams take place in my grandmother's house, for instance, which has long been sold and no longer in our possession. And the people wandering around in my grandmother's house are the people I've been hanging around with today. And I myself in the dream am somewhere like 23, and I have a child who I've never had, but is some amalgamation of children I might have fantasized about having. And in some way that is autobiographical, and in some other way that's completely fictional. And it's very much the way I think of my fiction. And I try to make the question people ask, which is this from your life, as complex as it really is a question. And then I try to make the answer as complex, because I think it is truly autobiographical in the precise way that dreams are autobiographical. They are and are not real or factual. I don't know about influence. I know that the writer I admire most, the living writer I admire most at this moment is William Trevor, the Irish short story and novel writer. A writer I admire who's no longer living is Eudora Welty. I like their very sly, weird humor and complexity. But I think in general I'm more a works sort of admirer rather than an author admirer. I think people have individual works that are great, and then subsequent works or previous works that are good but not great. I think maybe every writer has some great lucky, happy accident, and those are the ones that one could respond to, and probably everybody doesn't respond to the same one. But very few writers do I love everything that that writer has written. But I would make an exception in the case of William Trevor. I so far have loved everything he's written. And Eudora Welty is very close to being the exact same thing. Raising kids, maybe, would be the hardest environmental circumstance. I get writing done everywhere and anywhere, and I think maybe because I prefer writing the short story, the form permits a kind of multitasking sensibility. I can take notes and be intensely invested in a short story for a small amount of time, or a brief kind of span of days, weeks, and get it polished and finished. And I think that suits my temperament. So I don't know. I mean, I don't have a study. I write on the fly. I have a laptop. I take notes. I write in the back of whatever book I'm reading at the moment. I permit myself to be fallow for long periods of time. I haven't really written anything fictional for about 6 months now, and I've just learned to be okay with that. So I'm not a very disciplined writer, and yet stuff seems to come out every few years. So in some way I must be disciplined, but it's not a way that's daily apparent to me. I I really admire a sort of warped mystery thriller element, and I would really like to be able to include it in my work. I would like to be able to adopt that tone and tempo, the pace of that, and I read it, I should be able to borrow it or to model it, but I've not been able to do it. I really wish I could. It's what I've been thinking about a lot lately. Trying to make that work somehow. Oh, I think a writer is somebody who can't not do it. I mean, I have a lot of former students who I think were completely gifted writers, you know, really good at sentences and making stories, and did not have, it's not exactly ambition, I don't think that's quite the right word, but some sort of obsessive, some sort of obsession with it, some way in which the art of an act of writing is a sacred discipline, you know, where they think that the written word and books and fiction, in my instance or their instance, is something truly important that matters. I mean, to me, those people end up becoming writers. There are plenty of people who have a way with words and who've told great stories at bars and who have a lot of material to work with, but who don't have sufficient ambition, or it's not quite the right word, and obsession isn't right either, but just religious affiliation or affinity or intensity. And I am a complete atheist, so when I say religious, to me that means this thing that is as large a discipline and you know, meaningful practice as anything. And those people end up being unable to not be writers.